From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
The Arizona Supreme Court protecting businesses' religious rights to reject work for same-sex marriages.
Plus, we'll tell you more about expanded behavioral and mental health care services coming to the Valley for Native Americans.
And climate concerns, why students are speaking out, telling lawmakers they're worried about what a warmer world could mean for them.
Starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Jennifer Alvarez.
And I'm Matthew Roy. Thank you for joining us.
Our big story tonight, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled a Phoenix ordinance that protects LGBTQ people from discrimination that violates the Arizona Constitution.
This decision coming after a legal battle involving two Phoenix-based artists who refused to create wedding invitations for same-sex couples in 2016.
After today's ruling, the two business owners spoke out. Cronkite News reporter Marcela Baedo was there and tells us what they had to say. Marcela?
Artists Joanna Duca and Brianna Koski, owners of Brush and Nib Studio, sued the city of Phoenix, arguing its anti-discrimination ordinance violates their First Amendment and state constitutional rights to both free speech and religion. The city ordinance is intended to protect LGBTQ members of the community from discrimination. However, Duca and Koski sued in 2016, arguing it violates their religious rights. According to the business owners, creating wedding invitations for a same-sex couple would mean condoning the marriage. After today's Arizona Supreme Court ruling 4-3, both women and one of their attorneys say they look at this decision as a clear victory.
We cannot separate our faith from our art. They are deeply interwoven. What we create stems from who we are. And who we are stems from who God is and what He has done for us.
Regardless of one's view on marriage, this is a win for all citizens of Arizona.
However, the Human Rights Campaign, a civil rights organization, responded by saying that the Arizona Supreme Court just issued a license to discriminate against Arizona's LGBTQ community. Not only does this decision affect countless LGBTQ Arizonans, it sends a message about inclusivity to businesses and institutions seeking to invest in states that welcome all people. Today's decision could also open the door for discrimination against other communities protected by the ordinance, including religious minorities and women. It's worth noting the court's decision was carefully worded, not giving businesses protection if they decide to refuse serving clients on the basis of their sexual orientation. For example, Brush and Nib owners may still have to create place cards and signage that's not directly related to the marriage. Live in the broadcast center, Marcela Baedo, Cronkite News.
Right now, top Democrats in D.C. are calling for Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's impeachment in light of some new allegations against him detailed in a new book titled The Education of Brett Kavanaugh: An Investigation. The book revisits an allegation involving a woman named Deborah Ramirez who accused Kavanaugh of exposing himself to her at a party. He denies it ever happened. President Trump defended Kavanaugh on Twitter, saying, quote, "The lies being told about him are unbelievable, and he should sue for libel." Democratic presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris and Secretary Julian Castro are among those suggesting the Justice Department is to blame for a faulty investigation into Kavanaugh's past.
When the first iPhones came out in 2007, the North American Free Trade Agreement was already 13 years old. And while the iPhone has had countless updates since then, NAFTA has remained the same. Business and government officials are saying it is past time for a trade update. As Hannah Ehrlich reports from our Washington Bureau. Hannah?
Among the officials calling for a deal are Arizona Governor Doug Ducey and Arizona Chamber of Commerce President Glenn Hammer. They were in Washington today to push for NAFTA's replacement, the United States-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, an update Ducey says is long overdue.
Ducey says finalizing the so-called USMCA agreement would bring jobs and billions of dollars in trade to the state.
This results in 228,000 jobs for the state of Arizona, over $20 billion in cross-border trade.
Mexico has long been Arizona's #1 foreign trading partner. And today, Ducey said that it recently moved past China to become the #1 trading partner for the U.S. But before the USMCA deal can be finalized, it has to get through Congress, where Democrats have raised concerns about enforcement of environmental and labor protections under the deal, among other issues. Ducey says he doesn't know anyone who is flatly opposed to the agreement, but believes there are some politics at play.
Because it would be a failure of Congress to act on something that's in front of them. And I'd say that Congress should demonstrate a greater love for our country than they have for a love of political party.
President Trump and his administration have been pushing for the deal, with Vice President Mike Pence scheduled to hold a meeting on it today. Ducey said he thinks all sides can benefit from the deal if it is approved.
Martha Barcina, who is Mexico's ambassador to the United States, came to Arizona last year and said at a sold-out standing room only luncheon that if you care about Mexico, you'll be a yes on USMCA. I'd amplify that and say if you care about Arizona and the jobs in Arizona, you'll be yes on USMCA.
The Mexican Senate gave overwhelming approval to the USMCA in June, but Canada has not acted on the deal, with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying he wanted to wait for the U.S. to act. But now, Canadian national elections are scheduled for next month. In Washington, Hannah Ehrlich, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Hannah. Emergency dispatchers in Phoenix will now have a place to decompress. Tomorrow, the Phoenix Police Department will dedicate a new quiet room for 911 operators. Officials say the job of emergency dispatcher can sometimes take an emotional toll, so the quiet room will give them a place to rest or take a few moments for themselves after taking all of those tough calls.
Studies have long shown the struggles Native Americans have accessing appropriate health care, especially in urban areas. Cronkite News reporter Ricky Cornish is here to tell us about a new grant that will bring more treatments to more people in Phoenix. Ricky?
Yeah, Jenny, I got in touch with Native American Connections, a nonprofit that helps around 10,000 individuals and families each year. For almost 5 decades, the organization has provided behavioral and mental health care to Native Americans in Phoenix. Now, a new grant will allow the group to offer more services to help those in need. The Indian Health Service awarded $200,000 to Native American Connections so that the group can offer some basic medical treatments.
This grant money will allow us to be able to hire a family nurse practitioner and bring on board a medical case manager, which is something we've never had before.
More than half of all American Indians live in metropolitan areas, including 90,000 in the Phoenix metro region. Native American Connections operates 18 sites across central Phoenix to accommodate clients.
Our history has been to be a behavioral health organization, and this is a grant to integrate primary care medical services.
Thank you.
Residential treatment centers like this one, Patina Wellness Center, will offer new services including immunizations, wellness checks, and even forms of therapy.
This is more about expanding access, easy, simple access. So when people are receiving other services with us, they can receive their medical care at the same time.
We'll be doing some additional outreach in the community to really target the Native population and be able to provide some integrated services to those people.
If you or someone you know is looking for health resources, you can call Native American Connections at 602-424-2060. Native American Connection services are open to everyone. In the Broadcast Center, Ricky Cornish, Cronkite News.
Starting today, new bike and scooter laws take effect in Tempe. That means all riders must ride in a bike lane when one's available and ride in the street with the flow of traffic when the speed limit is 25 miles per hour or below. And those under 18 are required to wear a helmet. And in addition to buses, rideshare, and light rail, the city of Phoenix launched a new mode of transportation today.
Cronkite News reporter Mariah Gallegos attended a ribbon-cutting ceremony in downtown. Mariah?
Electric scooters are now being used as a way to get around in the downtown Phoenix area, but not everyone is happy about it.
Some say they're dangerous. Others find them beneficial and fun to use. Either way, 3 companies were granted permits to roll out rental scooters across the downtown Phoenix area.
Bird, Lime, and Spin that will be participating in this pilot program.
Street Transportation Assistant Director Brianna Velez says a key part of the pilot program is the evaluation of the scooters over the next 6 months.
We understand there may be growing pains and opportunities for improvement throughout this pilot program, but the Street Transportation Department is committed to meeting your needs and working through all of those issues.
Phoenix Councilman Michael Nowakowski says the scooters are meant to help inner city congestion.
One of the things that we hear is that we have a problem with trying to get around the downtown Phoenix. So we brought in the bikes and now we have the e-scooters.
However, ASU students who go to school in downtown, like those in Tempe, will not be allowed to ride the scooters on campus.
It will still be a no-ride zone. However, there will be various parking locations close to the campus, so you're able to park the scooter close and then walk to your class.
To rent the scooters, riders must be 18 or older and have a driver's license. Live in the studio, Mariah Gallegos, Cronkite News.
So now we want to hear from you. What do you think of electric scooters being introduced in downtown Phoenix today? Are you excited, or do you think it's a bad idea? Just head to our Cronkite News Facebook and Twitter pages to join in on the conversation and vote in our live interactive poll. And coming up next on Cronkite News at 5, Food Desert No More.
We give you a preview of a new, exciting downtown Phoenix grocery store.
And as the monsoon is in full swing today, we're tracking storm chances for you. In fact, Tucson, heads up, we got a storm coming in. We'll track it out for you here coming up in your forecast in just minutes.
All of its children had come to the Mother Church of Country Music. It was almost like a badge of honor that you had to bring your culture with you to the table. That's why Bob Wills and his guys brought us Western music. That's why Hank Williams brought the South with him from honky tonks. Johnny Cash brought the black land dirt of Arkansas. Bill Monroe brought music out of Kentucky bluegrass music. Willie Nelson brought his poetry from Texas. Patsy Cline brought her heartache from Virginia. I mean, it was the most wonderful parade of sons and daughters of America that brought their hearts and their souls and their experiences, and it gave us a great era in country music.
Downtown Phoenix houses 2 sports teams, an entire ASU campus, and several apartment complexes.
But one thing that we don't have here, a full-time grocery store. However, a new Fry's opening up will change just that.
Madison LaBerge talked to the store manager about how this will affect people living and working in the area.
Currently in downtown Phoenix, there's a weekly farmers market and a convenience store, but as far as places to get fresh produce, that's about it. But in about 6 weeks, the doors of a full-service grocery store will open, which will bring many of the neighborhoods out of the area into a food desert. A food desert is an area where access to affordable and healthy food is limited or non-existent due to the proximity or income. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, just over 33% of people in the downtown Phoenix area do not own a car or live within half a mile of a grocery store. The new Fry's, located at 1st Street and Jefferson, will put an end to the food desert and be within walking distance for many of its local customers.
Going to provide them wholesome food. You know, they won't have to shop at a convenience store anymore. We'll have a full-service grocery store, and it will cater to all parts of the neighborhood. The lower incomes, the upper incomes, the encompassing entire area will be able to utilize this grocery store.
Berryman told me that not only will it make fresh produce more accessible to those in the area, but the store has employed over 250 associates that live in the downtown area. He also let me know that they have a Zero Hunger, Zero Waste initiative where anything that cannot be sold in their stores will be donated to local food banks. The store is set to open on October 23rd at 8 in the morning. In the Broadcast Center, I'm Madison LaBerge, Cronkite News.
Here are two more national headlines we're tracking today on Cronkite News. First, September is National Baby Safety Month, and Walmart's using the opportunity to collect old car seats starting today. Customers can trade in car seats their child has outgrown for a $30 Walmart gift card. There's a 2-car seat trade-in limit per household, and this event will go through the end of the month.
And Bud Light has an out-of-this-world deal, literally. They're offering free beer to aliens, so committed to the belief that the truth is out there. It's Anheuser-Busch's way of welcoming any aliens who escape Area 51, hoping that ET cracks a Bud Light before phoning home. There's even a limited edition alien swag pack, along with shirts, koozies, hats, and jackets. Of course, it's all in response to the hubbub surrounding the tongue-in-cheek Storm Area 51. In case you're wondering, the cans are only on sale in Nevada, California, and right here in Arizona.
A new generation worried about the warmer weather is speaking out.
Find out what they have to say about climate change when we come back.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Thousands of students, including right here in Arizona, are expected to strike on Friday. They want to send a message to state and federal lawmakers that say they need policies to address this climate change.
All of this is happening ahead of the United Nations 2019 Climate Summit in New York City next week. Cronkite News reporter Jordan Evans recently went to a summit of young climate activists. And Jordan, what did you learn?
So Matthew, back in 2012, former U.S. President Barack Obama gave a speech in which he said, quote, "We want our children to live in a world without the destructive power of a warming planet." Earlier this month, more than 180 students, ranging from middle school to college undergraduates, came together for this summit. They're all worried about what a warming world could mean for them and future generations.
Being a sustainability student, I'm interested still in supporting environmental advocacy and sustainability policy.
This is the world they're inheriting, and they have, therefore, an extra right to be concerned, to speak out, and to ask for solutions.
ASU professor of history and sustainability Paul Hurt gave the keynote speech at this year's Arizona Youth Climate Summit. He says a lot of the solutions to help curb climate change will have to take place in the policy arena.
Political engagement is complicated and slow-moving and difficult. And in a lot of ways, the status quo has a lot of inertia, and it's difficult to come up with new policies to change the way we do things.
Hurt also told me in the last 2 years, he has noticed more students getting involved in climate activism. Part of it was a new president, then there was the March for Science in 2017, and now more recently, many of these same young climate activists protested outside of the Arizona state capitol in March to get the attention of lawmakers for the first time. This month's summit provided an opportunity for students to engage with elected officials again. However, this time, the students asked the state legislators the questions.
We're here to do our best to kind of hold elected officials accountable as well, because we like to think that we are, really uplifting other voices and making sure that opinions that normally wouldn't be expressed are expressed.
I want them to acknowledge that no member of society is powerless. I know a lot of people who say, you guys are just teens, you're so cute. I love how hard you're working, but I think we can actually affect actual change.
And the change that these Arizona students are pushing for is the same change that Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg is pushing. The 16-year-old recently traveled to New York City by sailboat to reduce her own carbon footprint, all for the upcoming United Nations Climate Summit next week. And for ASU student Jackson Schuffelbein, getting youth to collaborate with lawmakers to make change for the climate is something he knows well.
Back when I was in high school, I created a youth activist platform in Ohio, where I'm from, and I'm glad to be able to support other students here in Arizona doing the same thing.
I think the key thing is to get organized and educated and come up with stories to tell about how climate change is affecting us all and what the challenges are for mitigating climate change in the future. Get people to focus on the next 2 or 3 or 4 generations that are really going to have to deal with the consequences of decisions that we make today.
Friday, these students will march from Phoenix City Council to the Arizona State Capitol to bring their concerns about climate to Arizona lawmakers.
This report is a part of Covering Climate Now, a global collaboration of more than 250 news outlets. To strengthen coverage of the climate story, check out more from our public partners in our Elemental Covering Sustainability collaboration at elementalreports.com.
And you may soon be able to plan a vacation in space.
The Gateway Foundation just released the design for its space hotel. Take a look. The hotel is designed to look like a rotating wheel with 24 modules that orbit Earth. The wheel's rotation will create a simulated gravity.
The foundation hopes to get the hotel off the ground by 2025 and fully operational by 2027. Price-wise, they're hoping to make it equivalent to a trip on a cruise or a trip to Disneyland.
Well, I wonder, does that mean I can get married in space soon?
Are you proposing to me?
I don't think so, but anyway, somebody might. The monsoon, hey, it's coming back finally, and we got 2 weeks left in the season, and things are looking good out there. In fact, we had a weak dust storm actually move through Pinal County, and we'll take you to radar currently. Tucson is finally under the gun for some more rains right now. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning just to the north of the metro there along I-10, which could pop out a few damaging winds and some large hail as well. But I think the main threats with this storm is going to be the heavy rain and a lot of the lightning that's coming down with it. This storm is slowly making its way towards the east, so I expect it to be here in the Tucson metro area as we get to the top of the hour there at 5 p.m. I should say. The storm is just moving very, very slowly, and that's why we've got flash flood warnings issued just to the west of that over there towards closer to the valley. But here in the valley, we have not seen rain yet. There's a weak outflow boundary pushing towards the north, so there could be some gusty winds and a little bit of dust coming up with that one, but our rain chances aren't going to be coming until tonight. This is the cluster we're watching. In fact, I expect a lot of this area. This is just to the west of Wickenburg and a little bit east of Siloam. This will fill in later tonight, and I think that is where our storm chances are going to originate. And as we take into Futurecast, I think it's showing a pretty good job of what we're going to see tonight. Let's take you through it. In fact, you'll see those showers of thunderstorms begin to fill up, especially for far northern sections of the valley, staying up along the foothills and then clearing out as we get into the overnight hours. So not everyone in the valley is going to see rain tonight, but at least it's better than not getting anything at all. For that evening planner, pretty comfortable. In fact, 80s getting down there by 7 o'clock, and we'll see those storm chances begin to decrease as we get into the late evening. Check out those highs across the entire valley for tomorrow. We're talking 100, which is right at the average for this time of year, with 90s for places like Deer Valley, Cave Creek, and Fountain Hills as well. Now, as we take you through the rest of the day, how about this? We talk out 80s there in the morning, and then we're talking 90s by the middle of the afternoon, and then quickly diminishing as we get into the evening hours. But for that 7-day forecast, you know, Jenny, we're going to be cooling things back as we get into the weekend. We're talking 90s, back below average just like we had last weekend. But in the meantime, we're going to be keeping things pretty warm here, especially as we get into Wednesday with a high of 103.
When we come back, fans may have gotten a little too rowdy at the Phoenix Rising's last game. Find out what forced the match to end early next.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The scorching hot Phoenix Rising clinched the #1 seed of the Western Conference playoffs with a win over the LA Galaxy on Saturday.
But due to an unfortunate incident, the game was suspended in the second half. Reporter Rob Warner has more.
Yeah, the Phoenix Rising won their 20th consecutive game on Saturday night, beating the LA Galaxy 2 by a score of 4-1. But the match was suspended in the second half when a non-Phoenix fan threw what the team described as an object onto the field. You can see tweets describing what transpired Saturday night. According to Ben Wright, at least 2 LA players were hit by objects thrown onto the field. The second incident reportedly occurred when referees had already told players to leave the pitch. LA goalkeeper Eric Lopez was one of the players to be hit by an object. Luke Brenneman, a postdoctoral research scholar for ASU's Global Sports Institute, said this event sets up the team for an important decision.
The team and the organizational leadership of the team has a pretty influential moment right now. They can establish basically who we are and who we are not as a team, as a culture, as a fan base.
Early Sunday morning, the club put out a statement saying, quote, "While we cannot celebrate these achievements fully, we look forward to coming back home for our next match and playing in front of our passionate and supportive fans," end quote. Both fans were identified and have been banned from the stadium, and the Rising also announced they will be moving forward with plastic cups at future games. Live in the broadcast center, Rob Warner, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on PBS NewsHour.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour. In the wake of the El Paso shooting, how Texans view gun violence prevention. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
And for top Arizona stories anytime, go to Cronkite News.